We make a conscious decision to eat good. Mental health is always checking in with ourselves and making sure that we're healthy mentally, not just physically, but also mentally. That's a sound mind, a sound body. So what is mental illness? Mental illness are health conditions involving changes in emotion, thinking, or behavior. Mental illnesses can be associated with distress and or problems functioning in social, work, and or family activities. Nearly 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience some form of mental illness. 1 in 24 has a serious mental illness. 1 in 12 has a diagnosable substance use disorder. These are all from the American Psychiatric Association. These are stats. So look around, you guys. This room, we may have a whole lot of people here, but 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience some form of mental illness. 1 in 24 has a serious mental illness. These are things that we need to think about as we're driving around town, as we're in a community. It takes all of us, like they say, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a community to address these serious illnesses. So if we work together and we recognize things and know there are resources available, that's what we're trying to spread the knowledge. So with Impact in the Geneseo Police Department, we are working with our community. We're working with our food pantry in Geneseo. We're working with Hammond-Henry. We're working with Bridgeway. We're working with NAMI to spread awareness and make sure everybody is aware that there are resources available, and we're not here to judge you. We're here to help you. So if you don't reach out to somebody today, just know that somebody at the Geneseo Police Department and Impact Office will be willing to help you, and there are resources available for you at all times. So we are here tonight to bring awareness and work together to help individuals know that there are resources out there. We have Geneseo Police Department, Geneseo School District, Hammond-Henry Hospital, Gray Matters with high school, Bridgeway, and NAMI presenting tonight. I would like to introduce you to Tim Steinis, and if anybody doesn't know who he is, he's the SRO of the high school. He's done some amazing work up here. He's an impact officer who's worked a lot with a lot of our students in this school. He has raised awareness. He lets the kids know that he is available to help, and that's kind of what we're trying to do, not just within the police department community, but we want to do it in the schools. So also I'd like to introduce Amber Rethal. Just like you know, we do now have a middle school resource officer. Amber Rethal will be an impact officer as well at the middle school. She will be an SRO, and she will be an amazing asset to that high school. With that being said, I'm going to pass it off to them. We want to get things rolling tonight, but I just want to let you guys know that we are taking mental health seriously within our police department, and we want everybody to know in the community that we are here for help. If anybody needs to reach out, we're not here to judge. We understand we're a small community, but we're not here to judge. We're here to help. And if you don't have the answer, you can always call us, and I will do my best, and I know that these officers up here will too, to find some resources available for you if it's mental health, if it's substance use, and it's crisis. Now that blankets a lot, because everybody's crisis looks different than somebody else's. So please reach out if you guys need help. I'm going to give this to Second Student Tim Steinis.
I don't need that, I'm pretty loud as it is. Just for those of you who don't know me again, my name is Tim Steinis, I'm a detective here. My partner is Amber Rethal. I'm not going to make her speak today because I didn't tell her that she was going to speak.
I'll say a few things.
Yeah. She'll be at the junior high, I am at the high school. Just a little background for myself, I am a retired officer. You'll see myself and Deputy Chief Gene Carswell, we washed our hair. When we talk about mental illness and stuff like that, not a joking matter, we talk about mental illness. We've done a lot in our career. I've spent 28 years at Rock Island. I retired there as a lieutenant. Gene's got 35 plus years. 39 years maybe. And we lost our hair pretty quick. You've all heard it that, you know, when you go through a lot of things pretty serious, you get pretty numb to it. You get pretty hard. We've seen a lot of things in our career. And, you know, we had that sick humor as we were growing up. And we thought, you know, you make jokes about death and shootings and stuff like that. But after a while, we've gotten here, and we've gotten to a point now that we realize there's probably a lot of things we could have done different. And now that I'm up here at the school, we've talked about this when they first showed me to come up as an SRO, is how can we actually reach the kids? We know kids have, you know, teen anxiety. Every adult in here had teen anxiety when you were in high school. And you know, somebody was left out of a party, or somebody wasn't invited to a dance, or they broke up with a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Now we have this thing social media, which is where we're really working on right now, and I'm trying to teach you the parents. Snapchat, Instagram. People are left out of a group chat. They're not invited to a group chat party, as it is, where they're talking about things, or they're sharing photos or TikTok videos. And then they're sharing things that they shouldn't be sharing. And then they get exposed. You may have heard that. If somebody takes a photo, they thought Snapchat was created so adults could share things that only adults should share, and then it turned into a kid thing, and now they're dealing with adult stress, adult problems. And then we have to deal with that now. So our job up at the school, my job up at the school, is try to reach these kids, make sure that everybody knows I'm here to help. I don't know everything, but I know where to fix problems. I know where to get the resources. I know people that you can talk to. I try to play the dad role the best I can. I do have a daughter that's a junior in college. I have a sophomore in college and a son that's a junior here. So I have my finger a little bit on the pulse of what is going on at the school, and I hear about the new and current problems that may be going on, and I try to educate myself in that. So I do the best I can that's here. So again, if you have parents have any questions, especially when it comes to social media and stuff like that, feel free to call the police department up here at the school, get my cell phone number and call me. I will educate you the best I can. Because there are a lot of things that we need to know. I don't say take away social media from kids, because that is the new way of communication. We do not want to take away something that they're going to use at their job or in the future. That's going to be a tool for them. So I know the kids get grounded from it. They think they can't breathe without their phones, but they do survive. But this is something that we just need to educate them better. So before I introduce, I'll let Amber say a couple words. She's going to be our new SRO at the middle school.
I'll try to be as loud as him. Again, I was introduced Amber Berthad. I'm the new SRO at the middle school. Other than middle school, I'll also be focusing on the elementary school as well. Being in this profession, we find people in crisis, and it tends to be adults at times. And I think that over the years, not the people before us didn't do their job, but I think that there are more things out there, more resources that we weren't aware of back then that could have helped the adults that are now. So what my goal is to team with our impact team, community, everybody in the police department, focus on we got this high schoolers that he's doing a great job with, but really focusing on middle schoolers and even the elementary kids, because that's really where the issues start. Like they said, mental health is big now, and mental health awareness is something that we're focusing on, and getting it taken care of at a young age, I think, can alleviate the issues that we have.
Thanks. I'm going to introduce Gray Matters now. One of the resources that we do have here is that the kids are a lot more involved. The high school kids are a lot more involved in paying attention to what's going on. So I'm going to invite Gray Matters up here. They're going to introduce themselves and explain to them what they do here at the school.
It's just happened.
You guys, there's a on switch.
Turn it on.
All right, hi everyone. So we are the leadership team for the Geneseo Gray Matters chapter, and we're just all going to go down and introduce ourselves. So I'm Riley Preston. I'm a senior here at the high school, and I joined Gray Matters because I just wanted to let all of my peers know that they are loved.
Hi, I'm Bella McDaniel. I'm a junior here at Geneseo High School, and I joined Gray Matters to know that they're not alone in this fight with mental health.
I'm Abby Will-Susan. I'm a sophomore, and I joined because I struggle with mental health, so if I can help other people, then... I'm Mia Kelly. I'm a junior, and I joined to help people know that they're not alone and that they have a support system when they feel like they don't.
I'm Riley Cherry. I'm a sophomore, and I joined because I want to bring more awareness to mental health.
I'm Erica D. Decker, and I'm a sophomore, and I joined to help people with their mental health.
My name is Delaney Vanderkey. I'm a senior, and I joined to be a better advocate for mental health.
My name is London Folks, and I'm a senior, and I joined the Gray Matters to help navigate my own mental health and to help others.
Okay, so a little background on Gray Matters. Kind of the first idea of it started back in 2018 on the Augustana College campus by a girl named Haley DeGreve and some other Augustana students, and it started as a poster campaign campaign to just kind of spread awareness to it. And then from there, it spread into holding meetings and having events, and it just spread into the community and now into many schools in the Quad City area. And kind of the main goal of the Gray Matters Collective is that there's so many people that talk about mental health and show concern for mental health, but no one's actually taking action. And so that is why we are here, just to take action and let everyone know that they are loved, that they are wanted, and that they matter.
So I'm going to share a little bit of, of like the mission at GHS and like what we do in our Gray Matters. So our mission is to help inform others about mental health and that it's okay not to be okay. There's some themes that we have in our meeting, which we meet once a month during WIN, and one of the ones we just had was we had therapy dogs come. We had self-care around the holidays and just an introduction into Gray Matters. Our attendance is very good. It's during WIN, which I said was once a month, and there's around 20 kids. And some of the future plans we have is to expand not just Gray Matters in the school, but to the community. So I'm going to pass the microphone to Abby, and she's going to tell you about the Starfish story.
Okay, so this story kind of represents kind of what Gray Matters is. And so there's this little girl, and she was throwing starfish into the sea, and this old man was walking up, and he asked this girl, and he's like, "Why are you throwing these starfish into the ocean? Like, you're not making a difference by just throwing one in." And he was like, "There's no way you're making a difference." And she picked up a starfish, and she threw it in the ocean, and she goes, "But I just made a difference to that one." And that kind of just represents that we really, if we only make a difference to one, that's the whole thing.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to introduce you to Stacy from Bridgeway. She's going to talk more on resources.
So first of all, I just want to tell you guys, I really didn't know what to expect when I came tonight. And I have to tell you, you guys have such a progressive community, because the fact that these officers are here and that you guys have already put this into your school is amazing to me. We serve a lot of smaller communities, a lot of rural areas, and they don't have these things. So kudos to you guys. I'm very proud to see what you've done. And having these officers in your community who are so involved and ready to do something is wonderful to see, because a lot of people don't have that. So take advantage of it. It's so important. A couple of things that these guys have talked about already. When Officer Shoemaker talked about the data, like the 1 in 5 and the 1 in 24, those are just the ones we know about. Those are just the people who have sought help and we can count and know. There are so many people out there who don't ever get help, and that's significant, because it's amazing the amount of people who kind of suffer in silence and think it's okay to feel this way, and it's not. One thing that I always do in training is I ask people, so I want people in here to raise their hands, those of you who have absolutely no stress in your lives. One person. I love it. We all do. We all have stress in our lives. We all have pressure. We all get sad sometimes, and that is entirely normal. I don't want anybody to ever think that if they feel down or they feel anxious, that they shouldn't feel that way. It is a normal part of life. But when it starts to affect your relationships, your schoolwork, your job, everything, maybe then it's time to seek out help. And asking for help is not a bad thing. It's a wonderful thing. I can't stress that enough. One of you said it's okay not to be okay, right? And it is. It is okay to not be okay. It's also okay to ask for help. Nobody is ever going to look at you differently. And to me and to a lot of other people, that makes you stronger than most others, because you're starting to reach out. So don't ever be afraid to ask for help, okay? You're getting some great resources in your school, in your community, so look to them for what you need. I I'm going to talk about some programs that we have, but there are also so many providers, even in these smaller areas, and people just aren't aware of them. Bridgeway has been around in the communities we serve for well over 30 years. And I still have people say to me today, oh my gosh, we never knew that you guys did that. We always wondered what you guys did. So people don't know enough about the resources in their community. So ask these resource officers, ask anybody, hey, do you know how I can get help with blank? And if they don't know, they're gonna find somebody who does. So these resources that I'm going to talk about aren't just specific to Bridgeway. A lot of these are in your communities and surrounding areas in other providers. So I don't want you to think that just because I'm here that we are the only resource. We're not. There's a lot of people who want to help. And we don't, we're not vying for people's to come in and be a part of us, a part of our services. I don't care where you get services or where you get help, just get help, okay? So a lot of outpatient mental health is done with a lot of different providers. It may be in private practice, it may be community mental health, but a lot of the things that we address, that others do as well, is just basic outpatient counseling, maybe psychiatry, maybe nursing, and they cover a bunch of different areas, a bunch of different mental health diagnoses, maybe different things that, am I not loving that? Okay.
Oh, I have to use the microphone. Can everybody hear me through the mic? Okay. So, a lot of different diagnoses. And I think Officer Shoemaker talked earlier something that is incredibly important. There is a huge difference between mental health and mental illness. And just because you're feeling a certain way doesn't mean you have to have a diagnosis. And just because you don't have a diagnosis doesn't mean you shouldn't go to counseling. We're going to deal with the symptoms that you're experiencing, and we're going to do that. I don't care about what your diagnosis is. I want to help you with what you're going through, okay? So a lot of these different things are things that are addressed in outpatient mental health. And it can be diagnoses, but it can also be grief and loss. It can also be adjustment, just some type of adjustment. Maybe you're new to the school. Maybe you're new to the community. Maybe you just recently got out of a relationship and you're struggling with that. It doesn't have to be a specific diagnosis. Everybody experiences stress, and maybe you're having more difficulty dealing with that. How can we help you with that? Aging issues, parenting concerns, trauma-related issues, these are all available in outpatient type services. One that I would specifically like to talk about is we have a small program that's called FEP. It stands for First Episode Psychosis. And psychosis is when people have some type of break with reality. It doesn't mean they're strange or crazy or even different. Their brain chemistry is a little bit different than others, and so they may have that break with reality. If we can get them into services as quickly as possible and literally wrap them in all different types of services, they have a much better chance of going into recovery and not having to deal with that psychosis again in their lives. So that's one thing that's very important to catch very early. But also, every single person who comes into counseling has done the right thing because they're trying to address issues early. The sooner that you address issues early, the sooner you're going to feel better, and the more likely you are to have recovery immediately down the road and not suffer with the way you're feeling for a really long time, okay? So I always encourage people to seek help even if they don't have a diagnosis or even if they feel like it's very minimal. Sometimes people just go to outpatient counseling because they have some life stressors that they want to bounce off kind of a neutral party. And that's perfectly fine too. That's also what counseling is about. So we talk about the behavioral health umbrella, and under that is mental health and substance use. A lot of people get confused and think that, substance use isn't a part of your mental health or anything, but they're very related. They're very much important, and a lot of times they go together. Because a lot of times when people have mental health challenges or issues, they will use substances sometimes to feel better, and then it becomes more of an issue. We do a lot of outpatient substance use programming at Bridgeway. I know that sometimes people need a little bit more than that, maybe inpatient detox, things like that. We are able to help people get involved in those services as well. One thing that is very important as well is it's important to know that substance use issues can start very young. So be aware and be looking for those things in your friends, in others, and you really want to get help quickly for substance use because we really want to get people into recovery and stop using that as a self-medicating or coping skill. What we also have, which are very important, are called peer recovery support specialists. Kind of like this group of students up here, peer recovery support specialists in substance use are people with lived experience. They're people who have had substance use issues and are now in recovery, really helping to support individuals going through this, but also their families. Because if people aren't educated on what their friends and family are going through, they don't know how to help. And so these people specifically have been there, done that, and they're there to support people in their communities as well. Next, we have what's called community living and support services. Sometimes people who do have mental illnesses need more supports than what outpatient can provide. And so something that we provide to folks are residential type facilities for folks who have a more chronic mental illness and need that assistance before they can live independently or go back and live in the community. So we have 5 in Galesburg and we have 3 in Kewanee, and they are staffed with behavioral health employees who are there to help folks move into recovery from their mental illness and also learn the skills they need to live independently, because sometimes people need a little bit more help. And so we do that in our communities, and we also provide what is called community support services. It's kind of like case management, because a lot of times people have a lot of appointments they have to get to. Sometimes they're struggling with food insecurities, and so it's basically a case management service to fully support them with all the needs that they have. As many of you might know, we are the mobile crisis response service in Henry, Henderson, Warren, and Knox counties. So that does mean that when somebody is having a mental health or substance use crisis, we are the call. Does anybody know, there used to be this long 800 number for the crisis line, and it has recently changed. Does anybody know what it is?
Yell it out.
It's 988 now. So instead of knowing that full 800 number, if you call 988, you're going to get connected with a crisis person who's going to be able to get you the help that you need. So just like if you need emergency police, you call 911, this is the same thing. And so our folks will come out, they work 24/7, 365. They come out to schools, they come to hospitals, and they screen people who are in crisis, who may possibly need more support, or even possibly a psychiatric hospitalization in order to help them stabilize. And they're busy all the time. People are always calling us to try and find resources, and that's what we're there for. We want to be able to help stabilize people and keep them in their communities whenever that is possible. Okay? Yeah, I can't stop. The next is our recovery-oriented system of care. This is fairly new in these areas. It's considered the ROSC. And what it is, this is specifically for substance use. And it's really a way to educate communities on what substance use and recovery is and how your communities can get involved. And so we're really starting to get into Henry County with this. So if anybody is interested in being a part of this, it's a community-wide, it's not just behavioral health people. We want everyone from the community to be involved. Because not only does mental health, substance use has a terrible stigma. Terrible. You know, we know all the terms, junkie, addict, things like that. Nobody wakes up one day and says to themselves, I want to be addicted to drugs. It does not work that way. And people don't continue to use drugs because they love that life. people have to really understand that substance use is a body and a brain disorder. It is significant. Your body needs that substance in order to function. It feels the same. And so it's not a choice that people make. They don't want to live that way. And that's a terrible stigma that we deal with every single day. And this part of our organization is working so hard to reduce that stigma and do great things in the community. This service is also one that is a system of care. It's really to help youth and families and communities get the support they need with a no wrong door approach. Because I'm sure, as a lot of you know, sometimes if you have a bunch of different issues that you're dealing with, you have to go over here and do an intake and get all worked up with that. Then you have to go over here for a different issue and do an intake and get everything all worked out with that. This part of our system of care really allows people, it's kind of a one-stop shop. You come in, we have all the providers at the table, so if we know somebody that needs help, then we say, hey, Stacy needs help with mental health services, they need stable housing, and they have no transportation. So we have everybody at the table who's working on all those things. We farm it out. We're contacting that person so that there's no wrong door. We're coming to help you. You don't have to struggle and go through all those different resources. And then I think the last slide I have, which I feel like is the most important, is this one. It's honestly what these students are doing now. We do a lot of mental health first aid training in our communities. We have certified trainers through the National Council, and we train in adult mental health first aid, youth mental health first aid, and also teen. And so what that means is adult mental health first aid is training for adults interacting with adults. Youth is for adults who interact with youth. And then the teen mental health first aid training we do directly in schools for the entire sophomore class. And what all of them are is a way for any layperson or any individual to recognize signs and symptoms of somebody who's maybe struggling with a mental health or substance use issue, and how to interact with that person and get them the help that they need. We're not training people to be therapists, counselors. We're not asking people to learn how to diagnose. We aren't training people to be the provider of what others need. We're just training people to recognize what the signs and symptoms are and how to get people the help that they need. And I really feel like this is one of the most important things that we do, because right now, as you've heard other people say, mental health has become somewhat of a crisis in the United States, especially since COVID. The way that people react and understand what they're going through is at a much heightened level. The anxiety and stress and the depression that we've felt prior, things that we could kind of handle on our own, has gone to a different level. And so we've got to figure out how to handle those things. So anybody who wants, and the training is free. It's a full day training for the sophomores in the schools. It's 5 sessions. We're actually training it in Wethersfield High School next week. And so it's been very successful, but it really shows the work that these guys have done. I mean, they know they're reaching out to other students, and we'd love to be able to train other students how to do that. And so these are some of the things that we do. These aren't any different than other providers do, but if we're not the provider for you, then we're going to help you find somebody who is appropriate for you. One of the things, just to close, that Officer Shoemaker also talked about in the beginning was self-care, or being aware of yourself. Self-care is such an important part of mental health and substance use, and we want to make sure that everybody is really working on good self-care. Take time for yourselves. Take care of yourselves. It's not a selfish thing. It will help you in the long run. You can't help others if you're not healthy yourself. So please work hard to be healthy, have good self-care. These people who are starting this impact and these resource officers that are here are so incredible and going to be here for any resource that you need or to help you. I am so proud to have sat here and listen to Great Matters initiative in this high school because it is going to be significant and they're doing great work. So does anyone have any questions? I feel like I've just vomited a ton of information on you guys. Any questions? I have business cards here too, so if anybody wants one before you leave, just let me know. But I appreciate you taking the time, first of all, to even come out tonight, but also to listen to the different opportunities in your community. So thank you very much.